Good morning, David Paul here. I woke up early and I had a panic attack, and there's a reason why those were happening and are happening, and it took me a long time to figure it out. It's because I roll onto my back and I can't breathe like that. My chest feels heavy, my breathing is shallow, and then in the end, if there's not a lot of air around my face and well oxygenated, then all of a sudden I realise I can't breathe, and it's right like you're being suffocated. So you wake up and you, oh my God, you know, and it's a big panic. Well, you would feel like that if somebody was deliberately suffocating you. You would feel like that, you know. So I kind of got that figured out now. So what is the solution? Well, I must not under any circumstances roll onto my back, because it's a kind of a traumatizing effect it has on you time after time after time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start wearing my backpack in bed with some items in it that will stop me rolling onto my back and stop that thing. Now, this is a word of warning to people who want to come to the Philippines. It's very warm here, and unless you have aircon in the location that you're at. By the way, I'm at Plantation Solirega in Davao, Talomo, Davao, which is where my sister-in-law and brother-in-law live, and I stay with them. You know, not all the time, but like until I get established in a house here. So anyway, it's a nice place, Solirega, but quite expensive, the houses here. I don't know particularly why they're very small, and but they've become expensive, and yet at the same time there are empty lots in the place as well. But you have security on the gate, and that's very nice. The guy's actually got a gun, that guy sitting in that cabin there. He's got several guns, and there are several guys around. So you're very secure there. They like the security in the Philippines. There's a reason for that. We can get to that some other time maybe. But you're secure here, and you are ultra secure in Davao because of basically the Duterte family and the top of the Duterte family, who was Rodrigo Duterte. So I'm a big fan of the guy. He's controversial, but I'm a fan, you know. Anyway, let's walk over the road, because I want to show you something and talk about an issue. And I'm gonna title this this video, I call it Me, Jesus and St Spyridon, or something like that. I'll think of something. So let's go over the road, sit on the wall, and look back at something else. See, that guy, he's got a lot of guns. So this is a phenomenon in the Philippines, and it's becoming a phenomenon everywhere. The nature of the problem, not particularly this church. Okay, as you know, I'm a Christian, and you know, there was a road. I was interested in other religions when I was a teenager, and we've all gone through that sort of Buddhism as a nice thing and all that stuff, you know. Never became a Buddhist or anything, because there was always this like image in the back of my mind of like being at church as a child and seeing Jesus up on the cross there, and it meant something to me. And I felt as a child that I had to leave it and go off and find myself. You know, this is like a little kid thinking this, you know. But I had to pull away from this for a while and, you know, discover myself. And then there was an experience that brought me back to Christ, an earth-shattering experience. Not a bad thing. It was a very good, what you'd call a religious experience. And my road back into Christianity was, I think God directed it. I'll just scan around while I'm talking, because I can't talk to camera and show stuff at the same time. I'm not able to flip the camera. I'll ask my very tech savvy niece if she can tell me how to do this. But anyway, here I am outside Spyridon. This is very interesting, this street. Lots of activity and people you get to know. You know, you become fond of them. They become your friends. You know, they're very, very loving, kind people, the Filipinos. They're tunay na ginto. They're like pure gold, you know. As a people, they're absolutely pure gold. Anyway, I'm digressing already. Let's talk about this issue. So the issue is this: I start taking an interest in Quakers. So I go to Quaker meetings, and these Quaker meetings are very peaceful, and you make friends with people, and you get into this sort of like peace and love kind of thing for everybody. But it's that's not the way of the world, you know. You cannot. You do have to defend yourself. I'm a Christian crusader. I am a crusader. I will, if pushed, I will take up arms to defend Christendom. And at the time of the Crusades, I would have joined the Crusades. So I'm one of them, you know. So I'm not really an ideal fit for the Quakers with the pacifism. I'm not a pacifist. Now, it's not desirable that we do fight and go to war and things like that. But Jesus said, you know, he said at one point, he said, does he have a sword? And the guy says yes. And then he says, does he have another sword? And he says yes. And he said, that is sufficient. And I take that to mean that it is sufficient to defend yourself, to engage in defensive wars and stuff. There's a whole philosophy of the just war around this, you know. So anyway, that's why I didn't like eventually what happens is a sense of dissatisfaction sets in. And God knew this was going to happen, but he was like just easing me in gently. And a sense of dissatisfaction sets in, and there's a reason for that, because the Quakers have an incredibly inclusive sort of attitude to things. Now that's good and bad both at the same time, but Christianity claims an exclusivity. It's no different from Islam in a sense that Jesus claims an exclusivity, and that it's there before your face, you know, in the words, I am the way, the truth and the life. It's not a thing open to debate, you know. It's not that there are other ways to salvation or to God. He is the way, the truth and the life. And that's where this thing comes in. This house in Spyridon here, Plantation Spyridon, we initially bought it as a retirement home with my ex-wife. And in the end, my brother and sister-in-law looked after our children for us while they were here for a period of time being educated at school and spending some time in the Philippines. And when I came to view this house when we first bought it, I thought, oh, that's nice, there's a church outside. I really like churches. You can't imagine how much I like churches. To me, they're beacons of light in a troubled world, you know. It's like Willy Wonka said, you know, how goes life with a I'll put it in the description, I'll remember how goes the world with a kind word or something like that. So these are, so, you know, a thing of light. And then I discover about this place and the whole thing about the Quakers and what I see in this church here. It's that the Quakers don't make a big song and dance about the Holy Trinity, about the divinity of God. It's a pretty much easy-go-lucky kind of, easygoing kind of hippie sort of thing. And Christianity is not easy going. In fact, it's a hard taskmaster at times, you know. It's not an easy going thing. And in Iglesia Cristo, what they believe is they believe that Jesus is a prophet. Okay. So you believe Jesus is a prophet. Do you believe that Jesus is God amongst us, the member of the Lord, the Emmanuel, God amongst us? He shall be called Emmanuel. Is he God amongst us? Is he actually God? Are you engaging in a relationship with, and is he a presence, you know, amongst the disciples as God? Is this God talking to you, or is it just an appointee? Well, it's very nice. It's very nice having a prophet telling you things. That's a great comfort that God should send a prophet. But this is God, you know. This is actually God on the cross, and it's, as the Marines say, it's up close and personal. It's about you. It's personally about you. And do you accept that? And these people don't. These people see him as a prophet. And so do the Jehovah's Witnesses. So this, what you got here basically is a cult which has set itself up and is sort of negating that relationship with Jesus, and it is what I call disenfranchising Jesus. They won't do it, but like that's what implicit in what is implicit in what they're saying. And who would want to disenfranchise Jesus Christ? Well, this one agency thing, whatever you want to call it, and that's the devil. So you have to be careful about that. You have to be careful about the fact that you're not fully engaging with this thing, this reality of Jesus co-substantiate with God. You know, he is God. So this is the big problem I have with this church. And you will meet people come out of here, well-meaning folks, and they think they're doing the right thing, and they're very righteous, and very you know, stick to the rules and all that. Like the Jehovah's Witnesses, they'll tell you, oh, you are sinning if you do this and you are doing that and all, and so on. Very judgmental towards you. But it's not about that. It's about the grace of God. You know, we're all unworthy. We're all sinners, and it's about the grace of God by which we're saved. We're saved by this acceptance of Christ. So I try talking to these people, and I do my best, you know. But there's nothing I can do about that. I'll stand by what I believe, and that's that. Now over there is a Catholic church down the road there, and that the Catholics, they are hard taskmasters as well, that church. But it is part of the apostolic succession, and it believes in this reality of Jesus Christ as God. I'm going to get such a kick back off this anyway. So how did I how did I get dragged into this issue? You know, like why can't I just like not bother with it and just let it go, you know, just go to my church and just like live my life and not worry about anything. Let's take a little walk down the road. Well, the problem is with my ex-wife, we used to go on holiday in the winter time, and this is a very good idea if you live in Europe, is what you do in the cold, dark winter winter days, is in smack in the middle of the winter, we would go at Christmas to a different country, a warmer country, like Italy, Greece, Spain, that kind of thing. The Canary Islands, and that would like poke a hole into the winter and make it more bearable. And then you'd get back, and it wasn't long before summer was back round again. So one time we go to Corfu, and why on earth, of all the places in the whole world, should I be down in Corfu at this particular moment, at this particular time? But we're walking through a sort of square, you know, not a market square, but like a bit of a square street there. And we're walking along, and there's a little church, very dark decoration inside, and there's something going on, a bit of a fluster going on in that church. Something's happening there. You know, what's going on here? And so we go in, and we just sit. A lot of Greek Orthodox and Russian Orthodox and various Orthodox churches don't have seats. This one did. This is people living by the rivers. It's nice, apart from the mosquitoes. So anyway, what is going on is there's some kind of a box there. You know, it's a coffin. I see it's a coffin, and there's a lid where the head is, and they've opened the lid to reveal a body inside, and this is a blackened remains of a body, absolutely pitch black. And so I get up with the other people, and we walk forward, and we look over into this coffin, at this dead body, and people are hanging crucifixes over, and they are you know, praying for, the priest is there, and he's praying for a blessing, and on these crucifixes. And man, this guy is big time, big time important to these people. So I think, well, what's this like? So I find out the guy is called St Spyridon. Okay, so I turn to a Greek guy and I say, oh well, when was this like? You know, when was he around here, sort of thing. So the guy responds to me and he says, Magandang umaga. Yeah, so the guy responds to me and he says, 200 and something years, like whatever, you know. And I think, oh well, yeah, that's no big deal, you know. He's one of the latter saints, you know, no big deal. You know, that's like 2,500 years ago. That's like what's that? That's like people in the 18th century or something. I can't remember now. 18th, 17th century. I can relate to these people riding around on the horses and you know, gathering the crops in with a scythe, and you know, it's a society I can relate to, in a world, you know, that's not too alien to me. Not like living amongst the Romans or something. And then think nothing more of it, and I get home and I start poking around and finding out about this guy, St Spyridon. Well, this is MacArthur Highway. I might as well video something interesting while I'm talking. And the place here is booting up, it's coming to life. So, St Spyridon, he said, well, what happens next is I check it out and I think, oh my God, I completely got it wrong. I completely misunderstood what the bloke said. What's happening is it was a couple of hundred years after the death of Christ. So St Spyridon, the perspective of St Spyridon is that he's looking back in his time scale to a time that wasn't so markedly different from his own. It's only like 250 years ago to him. And I realised this guy is so close. Wow, Mangaidito! It's very noisy. I have to move if I'm going to talk. So I realise that this guy is so close to Maganango Magasenyo. They're so close to the time of Jesus Christ that you know, that it's a time that he can really instantly relate to in his simple life. Maganango Maga! So anyway, they're amused that they're being filmed. Filipinos like to be photographed and filmed, I think. Well, they certainly like photographs. They will photograph anything. Anyway, I digress. So, what of it? And what of it? Why is this relevant to me? And then I start doing this checking, and it turns out that the guy was present and was the most important guy, really. A very simple guy, but such an amazing bloke. A very simple guy, and he was present at a thing called the Nicene Conference. And what was going on at the Nicene Conference is that they were discussing what is the fundamental, what are the fundamentals, the principles of being a Christian. What does it mean to be a Christian? And the big issue of the day is Jesus Christ God? Is he God? And there was this other group having a discussion. I found out more about this since. I can't remember their name, you know, but there was a very I'm working in 3 languages here in my head, you know, and I'm having difficulty with English words. A very articulate, that's the word I'm looking for, very articulate guy there, great debater and philosopher and stuff. And he was pushing the idea that Jesus is a prophet. And Spyridon was basically like an agent of God to push the other view, and empowered to do so by God, to push this idea that Jesus is divine and is God amongst us. And how that came about is that they're having a discussion, and I think it was Arenas or somebody like that, the other guy that's making his debate. So up gets Spyridon, and they think, oh God, this is terrible. This guy's going to like take him to pieces, you know, because Spyridon is just a simple shepherd bloke, you know, nice, really nice guy, but he's going to take him to pieces, this philosopher. And so Spyridon gets up, and they say, like, well, how can be something can be 3 things simultaneously? This is an idea that physicists are possibly comfortable with, because we accept uncertainty, and we accept simultaneous nature of things, you know, like in quantum theory and stuff. So anyway, so it's kind of easier for me. So Spyridon gets up and he holds up a roof tile, and then a load of water comes pouring out of the roof tile. Then it bursts into flames. Then it falls to the ground, or in his hand or whatever. There's a load of earth, just clear. So the origin of the very tile itself. And that kind of screwed them. And then they were stuffed, and then that was the end of that issue. And the Trinitarian view prevailed, and that was that. So what happened, has happened, and been happening to me subsequent to this is that I have become dissatisfied with the Anglican Church, because they're letting ideas in. There's a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion, and there are limits to that sort of inclusivity. We're all God's children, but that doesn't mean that we just got to take every idea that's going. And there are certain fundamental doctrinal things that we really shouldn't be accepting. For example, in the deluded view about inclusivity, they're holding joint prayer meetings between Christians and Muslims, and that shouldn't be happening. They're letting Christians use the church. Letting Muslims use the church for the cathedral in Bristol, I think it was, for an after fasting meal, an iftar, and they think this is going to help. It's not. You need to proclaim the faith as it is, and stand by the faith. So I got disappointed. I got disillusioned with that, but I talked to my vicar, priest in the Church of England, and I decided to stick with it, because I was thinking of switching and either converting to Catholicism, which would logistically be a very much easier life for me, because I spent so much time in Catholic countries, and I can't go to their mass because it's not what you call an open communion like the Anglican Church. So there are many good things about the Anglican Church, and I've decided I'm going to fight it out. I'm going to put my point of view forward, and I'm doing that now, and stick with it, because somehow God, had me born in that church, and He had a purpose in it. Maybe He wants me to do that. I don't know. I'll try and see how it goes. Failing that, I'm off to the Greek Orthodox or the Catholic Church. And in the tradition of the Greek Orthodox and Catholic Church, and it is present in the Anglican Church, it's not unheard of, and it can happen. What you do is, when you get baptized in those faiths, you take the name of a saint. And I don't know what the Catholics have to say about this, but I know that in the Greek Orthodox Church, that the idea is that you will take the name of a saint in your baptism and use that saint as a means as a sort of inspiration, a tool for learning more about your faith, and so you will, you'll learn more about your faith by learning through this, making him a sort of study case in your life. So people get the name, like, I don't know, St Mary or this or that, the other, whatever is the patron saints. And so I decided, if I do this, I'm going to choose the name Spyridon, because he is an inspiration to me. So St Cuthbert, but I think there's a reason for it. There's a reason for these things, and I'm going to choose the name Spyridon. So, despite all of that, I hope one day to visit the Holy Land, to go and see all the sites of Jesus' life and everything, on a visit to Israel when things calm down after the present war and issues going on there. And I'm going to visit all these sites. And one of the things that people go and do when they're on pilgrimage in Jerusalem is that they go and get baptized again in the River Jordan. So I'm going to do that. I'm up for that. Let's do it, because I was baptized as a child, and let's be affirmative about this and do it as an adult as well, and it won't hurt. And apparently, they do have these like recommittal kind of things in church, and you can do this as many times as you like. They had it in my church in Alperton. So I'm going to do it, and I'll do like everybody else. I'll go into the River Jordan and do this, and at that point I will choose the name Spyridon. So y'all have a think about that and what I've been talking about, and I've said my piece, and so what more can I say? Makita tayo sakana at the lago. See you later. Jesus be with you. Bye.